Like, what we haven't talked
In
a
a
lot.
communal hole.
Exactly. Like, my communal hole. A communal hole. That's what they call me down at the YMCA.
Communal hole.
The communal hole. Too far.
Hi, I'm Kale, and I'm a preacher's daughter.
And I'm Eden, and I'm also a preacher's daughter.
And this is Gay Girls, Good God.
Christian content from a queer perspective. And if you would like to give your perspective to these queers, you can always type something in the comments to wherever you're watching us, or hit us up on our email at gaygirlsgoodgod@gmail.com. We would love to hear your stories, whether it be like silly, goofy stories of deconstruction, your time in the church, ideas for future pods, whatever you want. We want to hear from you, so go ahead and let us know.
My grandfather at our church used to every year give a CBC awards, which was like just like goofy things people did throughout the year. And so like I got one for accident when I was like 6. I accidentally brushed my teeth with Bengay and my whole mouth went numb.
You have this way of telling stories, which reminds me of like those weird little kids who are like talking to you and they're like, my mommy and daddy got divorced because my dad put his penis in another boy and want to see me do a cartwheel. And my whole mouth went numb. And I eat it up every time.
And I was thinking the other day about like CBC awards in my life, and the one that came to my mind is, do you remember whenever I forgot 9/11?
Okay,
we were having a colorful day.
Okay, I was about to ask, what are we okay, we were having a very colorful day.
Yeah.
Our brains were all over the place.
What I remember is my mom had showed up that day.
She did?
And
she showed up in the middle of all that color.
We sat in silence for like 2 hours, and then I look over and you're crying laughing.
I am?
Because the guy from Birds Not Real had just thrown up during an interview on the news.
Okay, shout out to Birds Aren't Real, friend of the pod.
Yeah.
Because listener, if you don't know already, birds are not real, and I would encourage you to go follow the true journalist of this world. Birds Aren't Real.
An absolute like mastermind.
Both this like insightful pastiche and parody that is equal parts stupid, hilarious, and like cutting in its parody. I love that.
I just eat it up. And the way people react to it is everything that I want.
Yes, exactly. And that was your introduction to it, was it not?
Yes.
I was sitting on the couch.
No, I had heard about it, but I didn't know the
that it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And I have been a longtime truther since high school, obsessed. I was sitting on the couch crying, laughing, being like, oh my God, what?
And I think learning about that while it was a colorful day for me has really impacted the way I look at things.
And I'm glad that it did, because I said, this is a teachable moment.
Yeah,
This is a teachable moment.
And I must confess something. This whole conversation, I planned it like 2 weeks ago in my head.
So, take off the mask. Take it off for me. For me.
Where'd you go? Hey.
Where'd you go? That's what the mask is. Oh my God. TikTok took down our video of me saying faggot. Faggot. So first of all, faggot. Second of all, faggot. And third of all, faggot. And that's all I have to say. Oh my God. Monetizable.
Well, yes. Well, you see, there's going to be a nice big, like on colorful days, there's going to be a nice like, big bow on the end of this. So stay tuned, listeners, and find out what the bow is.
Right after this break. No, yeah.
So before we get into all of this, Sister Eden, I have to ask you, who are you praying for?
Sister Kale, this week I'm praying for, I want to say, former Barbs. Girl,
I just got this lore today.
Myself, especially in high school, I was a Nikki stan. Am I a Nikki stan? Pull up in the Sri Lanka. I was there. You know what I mean? Queen era, like, no matter what people want to say about it, girl, I was sad for every single second of it. And after everything that has happened with Meghan, there was a lot of signs leading up to it. Her marrying that man was like, girl, there were many signs. But her, like, this whole shit with Meghan, I fear there's no going back.
And that's the, like, I think no matter what beef happens, I'm always going to take Meghan's side, because Meghan is for the weird bitches. She's like, not like other girls. She like watches anime. And she does like cool spooky Halloween outfits, but like unironically, I love her. No, yeah. She's, Megan.
So to every like gay bitch and girl, to the girls, the gays, and the theys who love and loved Nicki Minaj, I am so sorry, but we're gonna have to let this one go. I think it's about time that we can still stream in shame and silence, but aside from that, we have to let go of the stan accounts.
We have to hang up the stan hat.
Yeah, we do. We have to turn back in that like split dye pink and blonde wig,
and that everyone's like with tears in their eyes, taking on that flag, the American flag.
Yes, yes. Remember when Nicki Minaj came out as like an anti-vaxxer? She was like, "My cousin in Trinidad's friend's balls were swollen because he got," and everybody was sick.
I'm not on Twitter.
I was gonna say sometimes I forget that we're different kinds of chronically online. Like my brain is so plugged into the internet. I am. Yeah, you use the internet. I am the boom boom internet, as Gia Gunn would say. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
Well,
so who are you praying for, Sister Carol?
Praying for you.
Well,
let's see. I am praying for. I am praying for the girlies who one day were like, "Oh my God, I want to bake some bread," and so they baked a loaf of bread, and then a couple days later, like, "Oh, I bet I can make sandwich bread. That would be cool to have some like my toast." And then fast forward to about a week later, and they have a sourdough starter.
Tell them the name. Tell them the name of the sourdough starter.
It's Medusa, but the O has I don't know what it's called, but it's the line, and so it makes the O sound, and so it's Medusa, like dough. And she's thriving, growing, and I made some tortillas with her today.
I made some tortillas?
Yeah.
Girl, I tried to warn you. This happened to my mom also. You don't just casually get into bread making. Let this be a warning to every listener out there. If you think one day you're going to casually make some focaccia and that will be the end of it, I hate to tell you, bread making will take over your life. It will seep into every crack and cranny and say, you know, you could be washing your face right now or taking a class or, you know, socializing with friends, but you could also be making bread. Girl, and you will be of all different shapes and sizes.
I was always on this. I'm a baker.
You are a baker.
I've always been on this route.
And I will also say, as someone who lives in your home and has tasted the delicious scrumptiousness of your bread, I don't oppose it. I myself benefit greatly from this, so please continue.
Oh, and by the way, I don't know what it is. Mindfully, because I've been practicing mindfulness, I've tried to make it a point to like be when I'm in the kitchen, since I'm in the kitchen a lot, to like be aware of what's going on. The other day, I was making myself lunch, and I said, "Hey, Google." I'm not going to say her name because she will come on. I said, "Play Studio Ghibli in the kitchen." I had the window open. Jet and Benny were sitting in the backyard, and so like House Moving Castle, Merry-Go-Round of Life was playing, and I was like cutting up my vegetables, and I was literally twirling around in my kitchen.
Fuck you. Meanwhile, I'm at a coffee shop going. Too soon. You're like. No. I love that. You're literally the pastoral fantasy, but in a subdivision.
Yeah,
I love that.
I'm eating it up while I can.
As you should, Mama. Eat your fill.
So, Eden, would you like to learn a little about a topic today?
I would love to learn about a topic today. Should we first explain why we're dressed as we are?
No.
Oh.
Don't know.
Guess, bitch.
Don't know.
They'll get it.
I first want to ask you. When you first heard the word Satanist in your life, what did you think of? Well, how was it presented to you?
So that is an excellent question. The first time I can consciously remember hearing about Satanists was when I was 11 years old. I was in Jackson, Mississippi, gathering signatures for a bill that would later go on to be challenged in the Supreme Court and lead to the overturning of Roe versus Wade. But I was told by some older organizer there that the reason we were opposing baby murders was because they were Satanists. And I said, "What's that?" And they said, "People who worship Satan." I said, "Makes sense." They said, "Abortions are just child sacrifices like they did with Moloch back in the day. But now they have to do it in a doctor's office." And I said, "Makes sense."
Makes sense.
Right.
Checks out.
Right. I'm 11 and I agree.
You were 11 in about 2013, right?
Yes.
Okay, word. That checks out with everything we're going to talk about today. So today, we're going to talk about one of the two organizations that are referred to as Satanists.
Okay.
We're talking about the Satanic Temple.
Okay.
And I know that you know a little about this too, so feel free to jump in and add your 2 cents.
So I remember hearing a lot about the Satanic Temple a few years ago and learning about it then. But in the last few months, because we've been talking about this a little bit, I've actually intentionally been avoiding any information about it.
Really?
So my brain is fresh, clean, and mushy for you to fill it with all of your knowledge.
Like, I went from knowing very little, like I knew like what it was, and but I didn't know like the nuances of like the things they were doing.
Yeah.
And then I went on this deep dive, and now I'm like, oh, should I like become a Satanist?
Well, and I support you. Because listen, there's nothing I love more than to like move to a new city and be like, well, my friend who's a Satanist. Well, my friend who invents reusable sleeping bags as fruit roll-ups for dying children in Africa. Well, my friend who is a triple star platinum record seller in the era of like Albanian polka. I love a story.
So yeah, for sure. And I think that I could say this is an evangelistic episode where I'm trying to convert people to
Okay. No, I love that. I love that idea. Consider
that
this.
goes against completely what this is.
Well, because we are not in the Satanic Temple, we can totally misrepresent them with no repercussions. Consider this a sales pitch, kids. Join today.
So let's start with like the Satanic Temple. Most of this is going to come from their website, but when we get into more about like their history, they don't really have like much of it for a reason. So I had to like dig around for that. So I have a bunch of different sources for that.
This is just like local journalists reporting whatever the cops say, like it's the truth. No,
exactly.
It's exactly the same.
Like that.
Exactly.
Well, like yeah, I'll talk about it when I get there, but. I'll start with saying they were established in 2013 in Salem, Massachusetts. Their logo is the Satanic Temple, empathy, reason, and advocacy. And their mission statement, straight from their website, is the mission of the Satanic Temple is to encourage benevolence and empathy, reject tyrannical authority, advocate practical common sense, oppose injustice, and undertake noble pursuits. Now, does that sound like baby murder?
You know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like the bullshit PC performative DEI stuff we had to learn as orientation leaders.
Yeah.
Be like, our university is committed to living our best life with all black, brown, and gay people.
To opposing injustice.
Not that fuck-ass performance piece. But no, that does not sound like baby murder to me. So this is their stated mission statement?
Yeah, this is their stated mission statement.
So
this is what they're about.
Can you tell me a little bit about like the actual like organization? Like what is this? Is this a hobby club? Is this a political is this a group of people? It is a
tax-exempt organized religion.
Do they like meet places, or
there are local chapters?
Okay.
There is one in Atlanta. I think there's one in most states. There's a couple that don't. But they're everywhere, and they meet, like monthly. They don't meet every week, but
no, that's a church I could get behind.
Yeah, exactly. But you can join membership. I think I don't even think it costs. It used to cost money, but I don't think it does anymore. But like donations are optional. But if you're gonna donate to anyone, donate to Eden.
Period. Plugging the mama. If you want to buy me boobies, hit the link below.
If after this you're thinking about, I should donate to the Satanic Temple. No, donate to our GoFundMe.
Donate to a real demon.
So the Satanic Temple should not be confused with the Church of Satan.
Never.
So that is the other group that you heard about them a lot in the late 1900s, like the 70s, 80s, 90s. That was like Anton LaVey. This is not the Church of Satan. They kind of have beef.
OT.
Yeah.
Anton LaVey. Shout out to Hobo Johnson.
Shout out to Hobo Johnson.
Controversial opinion. And I know that a lot of the girls and the gays who are listening to this will fight us on this, but we are two girls who live and love Hobo Johnson.
And Mallory Eckstein, again, she comes up a lot because she's a fruit fly.
Because she's a fruit fly.
She saw both of us and said, oh.
She said, oh, you? Jelly gumai vina can die.
One day out of the blue, she texted me, she said, I get it now. I finally understand. You're a female Hobo Johnson. I said, ew. But yeah.
You're like,
ew.
You're like, I am so offended and feel so seen. You're like, no one has ever seen how much of a piece of shit I am in a true way as this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love this.
So anyway, not Anton LaVey. And they're like, media would like you to believe that they are the same because they kind of just group together Satanists as a whole. But they actually have a cute little figure on their website that tells you the difference between the Satanic Temple and the Church of Satan.
Wait, that's so funny.
It's so cute. And let me read you some of the main like ones that are different. They're both taken seriously by credible religious scholars. And neither one of them believe in an actual Satan. They both see Satan as a literary figure.
I would have to agree.
Yes. One is apolitical. Satanists from the Church of Satan are apolitical. However, the Satanic Temple is very political, kind of the whole point, as we'll talk about later. And also, the Church of Satan believes, unlike the Satanic Temple, that men who prefer blue cheese dressing must be homosexually inclined because the odor is reminiscent of locker room full of well-worn jock straps.
That's why
they want
I like
you to
blue
know.
cheese.
That is so cunty, and then like
That's so.
they're like being like they're a joke.
Because this is from the Satanic Temple's website.
Yes.
So he said, so we believe in things like politics, and over there at the kids' table, they like to talk about jock straps, booty holes, and blue cheese. Pick a side.
Pick a side.
Pick a side.
Which side of a Satanist do you want to be?
Oh, you want to... Oh, okay. Yeah, go eat some blue cheese, girl. I love that for them.
And TSG doesn't really like the Church of Satan's authoritarian kind of rule, and they say that true Satanism is apolitical. And basically, the Church of Satan is kind of mad that the Satanic Temple has stole their brand as Satanists recently because they're not as popular. The Church of Satan is as popular.
It has
anymore.
declined, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe a helpful way to think of these differently is like, is the church more of like, would you say it's fair to call it more of a spiritual and religious organization?
The Satanic Temple?
The Church of Satan.
The Church of Satan, yes. I would say that's more of a spiritual.
So maybe you can think of like the church is the congregation. So they're like more spiritual or whatever. But the temple is the place. It's a building. It's about business.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's nice.
So maybe the temple is political. The church is like spiritual.
Yeah, separation of church and state.
Mama,
of church and temple.
of church and temple.
I quickly, before we get into the history, I do want to go over the 7 fundamental tenets of the Satanic Temple.
You know I love the number 7.
Yes, the perfect number.
Perfect number.
And also the lucky number.
Lucky number, magic number, Loki a sexy number. It's a girl. Its color is light blue.
7 is a girl.
7 is a girl. Its color is light blue, and it's also specifically trans. So that's that on that.
And today's episode will be at the number 7. Gotcha.
Sesame Street. Today's episode is brought to you by the number 7 and the Satanic Temple.
So I'm just going to go through these real quick. The first tenet is that one should strive to act with compassion and empathy toward all creatures in accordance with reason.
Boo.
Boo, yeah. These are all big boos. These are all
Satan.
These are all things that I think we can universally agree are bad.
Oh, are we? Okay, let me... These Satanists, they be talking about all the baby killing. You be compassion for a fetus, never.
They want me to care about a deer like I care about my kid. Well,
I don't give a shit about my kid. I can't.
Well. The second tenet.
The right to bear arms.
Wait, what the fuck did you just say? Are you a girl?
People looking at me over the counter at work. Wait a minute. Second tenet.
The struggle for justice.
David.
The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions.
Love.
Again, universally bad.
Bad. Yeah, sounding pretty woke to me.
The third tenet is one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone.
I don't know what you mean.
My body is a temple.
Well.
The fourth one is the freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own. The fifth one is belief should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. Number 6, people are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that may have been caused. And lastly, every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility and action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. So obviously this is a parallel to like the Ten Commandments.
Yes.
But these are like mostly just saying, hey, your body is your own, take care of yourself, and also just your only job is to like be kind or at most be neutral to other people.
I mean, I feel like to most of our listeners and also to us, this seems almost like pretty milquetoast because it's just like, these are the guiding principles. But also, I like that there is at least some organization out here who is taking the time to lay out these moral tenets in the same like kind of framing and absolute like declarations that like religious organizations do, like Christianity.
Non-theistic religion.
Exactly, because like for those of us who are deconstruct and leave Christianity, we have these deep set convictions about what is right and wrong, but after having been told what is right and wrong our whole life, it's kind of hard to feel like, well, I know what I believe and I kind of like feel what I believe, but it's really hard to not be able to have it in like exact terms.
Right.
I need to know exactly what I think is right and wrong. And even if you have exact words that tell you where those gray areas are and what is like absolute and what you can structure your life around and feel comfortable doing so, as opposed to Christianity, I think that's great.
Exactly. And that's the main thing that'll come around to is the thing about the Satanic Temple is they are a religion in the way that Deadpool is a superhero.
The anti-religion,
Yeah, the anti-religion. So it meets all the requirements. That's the whole point, as we'll talk about when we get to the history right here. What is killing you?
It must be so exhausting, always rooting for the anti-religion. Boo, 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 boo. It's just Satan dancing through.
Wait, well, we've had Satan dancing. You know, Taylor Swift does practice Satanic Temples on the stage.
You know, Taylor Swift is the reincarnation of the original Satanic.
She's practically worshiping him on her stage.
Taylor Swift, this is the call out. We are praying against your success.
Praying with an E.
You really sold that, girl. You said, pray predator realness.
So,
I gotta tell you a story after the pod. Go ahead.
After the pod, word. You can't see it.
You can't
I can see it because she's my best friend, not yours.
Hi, I'm a gay preacher's daughter, Eden.
Hi, I'm a preacher's daughter who ended up being gay, and my name is Kale. It wasn't always Kale, but.
And this is Gay Girls Good God.
And it's our show, not yours.
This is the show where she's my best friend and not yours.
Gay Girls Good God alienates their fan base. Bringing it back around.
Bringing it back to a place of Hobo Johnson.
Coming from a place of Hobo Johnson.
Coming from a place of, you know what? If we were to Hobo John, continue.
So, moving on to the history. So, their headquarters are in Salem, Massachusetts, and their founders are Lucien Greaves and Malcolm Jerry. These are pseudonyms. No one knows the founders' real names.
Malcolm Jerry is a lame as hell pseudonym.
Absolutely. And I think part of the reason it's this is so anyone can say, I am, I am
Satan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly.
Malcolm Jerry, choosing a lame ass pseudonym or
Lucien Greaves is cool though.
That's slay. This is like the difference between when I meet a trans bitch, I do judge their name because I'm like, bitch, you chose that. I once met a trans girl whose name was Megan, and I was like, no Tino shade, Megan. We're doing Megan in the gig. Oh, another one, Amanda. Girl, you're writing the jokes for yourself at this point. You're writing the jokes. Amanda. You know, if you rearrange the letters of Samantha.
Maybe she's a funny bitch.
If you rearrange the letters of Samantha, you get, that's a man.
So the idea of starting the Satanic faith-based organization, according to Malcolm Jerry, one of the founders, was first conceived to meet all of the Bush administration's criteria for receiving funds, but was to be repugnant to them.
The Bush administration.
The Bush administration. Dick Cheney and the Bush administration.
Dick Cheney and the Bush administration. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Dick Cheney of the Bush administration, the House of Bush administration.
Dick Cheney from the House of Bush administration. A snorter and a wheezer walk into a bar.
Oh God! Cut! Oh my God!
Moving on. So this was sort of motivated by Bush's White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships, which was... Are you okay?
I'm good. Continue. Keep on.
The Bush administration trying to not separate church and state, trying to make them say now kiss with church and state.
Now kiss.
And so basically the whole founding was a big fuck you.
Hell yeah.
To the Bush administration and the Republican Party at the time. So in March 2012, the founders hired actors to play students who wanted to share their love of Satan, and they went to a meeting and praised Governor Rick Scott of Florida at the time for allowing inspirational messages at public schools because they could finally share their love of Satan.
Period.
And I think the founding, the first recorded action, and this is not on the website. I had to go dig around for this because they don't have any everything on the website is about what they're doing now, which I think is a nice thing.
Now I get why you planned out the birds aren't real conversation.
Yes.
I'm getting the vision. I'm getting the vision.
You're getting the vision. And so the way that it started, I think, is just a great representation of where it would go. And so then after the Boston Marathon bombing, there were some Westboro Baptist Church members who were picketing the funerals of the deceased.
As they love to do.
And so the founders of the Satanic Temple went to Meridian, Mississippi, where the founder, Fred Phelps, Mississippi, not a friend of the pod.
Not a friend of the pod. Meridian,
I cannot
Mississippi.
escape my mother's blood.
Real. Also, one of the most dangerous cities, period.
Yeah.
Really. Anyways.
Yeah. So that's also where the founder of Westboro Baptist Church, Fred Phelps, his mother is buried there. And so the Satanic Temple held a pink mass there, which was when a bunch of gay couples made out over the grave of Fred Phelps' mother in order to hopefully turn her into a Satanist in the next life, as a part of their religious practice ritual.
Imagine you spent your whole life hating on fags and they butt fuck each other over your dead body.
On your mother's grave.
On your mother's grave. Slapping weenies. Slapping weenies on your mother's grave. That is so gay. Only gay people would be that rotted.
That action is what they were founded for.
Yeah.
The other one was before they were founded. They were founded to do the pink mass.
Yes! That's straight people would be like, we're crazy, we're raw, we're gonna protest these fag soldier deaths. And gay people are like, what if we fucked on our mom's grave? Wouldn't that be crazy? We should just get the cake.
And that's how they gained a lot of fame and traction.
Fuck yeah.
Their headquarters are in a Salem Victorian funeral home that's been painted charcoal.
I love their dedication to the aesthetics.
And it also serves as the Salem Art Gallery.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, so it really comes back to the whole, it's not about being religion, this is also for people and we're giving back. And they announced that they became tax exempt in April 25th, 2019. And they were reluctant to pursue this until the Trump administration signed the executive order to promote free speech and religious liberty. And they were like, that's not fair. So can we be exempt?
Period.
And because of the stipulations of the rules, like I said before, they were trying to meet every criteria while also being the exact opposite of what they were meant to do. And so they got tax exemption in April 25th, and they announced it April 25th, 2019.
Period. And this is so important to me. I could talk about this for hours, but I won't. I will condense this to a few moments to just say these people know what politics are now.
Yes.
Politics is not anything grand or noble like it once was. Politics is just PR, and what PR is in their internet era is stupid. And you have got to be stupid. You have got to meme. You have got to be outrageous. You have got to keep people's attention because there are 10 trillion other things vying for it like there has never been before. And that's how you actually influence things.
They exist to dig into the flaws of the system and then also at the same time be rage bait for people and be like, do you not realize that other people see you the way that you are seeing?
Exactly.
It just holds up a mirror kind of to the whole political system.
It does. It's we could say this, the Satanic Temple is to religious groups, right-wing religious groups in the United States, as the Birds Aren't Real group is to right-wing conspiracy theorists.
And as she has pointed out, we're going to save it to the end, but as she has pointed out, Birds Aren't Real today is going to be our manic pixie dream girl.
Bitch.
And
the Satanic Temple is
going
the
to
butch
be our
lesbian.
butch lesbian.
I totally
You
see
see
that.
it?
Yeah.
They exist to shine a light on just how insane.
And to
But
also
and to
say
also
like
at the same time be like, oh well, if anything goes.
if
If
we're allowed.
if these are the rules, we can follow the rules.
There's no rules on these social media platforms about spreading blatant false information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's show people how like blatant you can be about it,
Yeah.
and no one will take it down. You know?
Yeah, let's
Things like
throw
that.
up on a news interview and then say that we were poisoned by the U.S. government.
And see how those interviewers, because they aren't trained to do anything else, are just forced to almost treat it like it's serious because that's what they're trained to do. They're not trained to deal with
Right.
falsehoods. Same thing with regular conspiracy theories. The Satanic Temple, it's, you're going to tout all these laws across the United States on the state and federal level about religious freedoms to do all these things. Okay, well, we know you're really just thinking Christians' rights to trample over other
Exactly.
people. So why don't we establish our religious freedoms to do satanic shit?
We know why you're doing this is because you're only thinking of yourself. But because you're only thinking of yourself, you're not thinking about other possibilities. So what we're going to come do is do everything you don't want us to do under your rules.
Which I believe is actually why in fucking for those of you who don't know, our home state, Mississippi, has a House bill called Mississippi House Bill, I think 1523, I believe. In it, it explicitly states that people are allowed to discriminate on the basis of religious conviction against anyone for the sincerely held religious belief that gender is inextricably linked from sex and is
Right.
like assigned at birth or whatever.
yeah.
Like, and then something about like that kids should have like a mother and a father or something stupid like that.
And what the Satanic Temple exists to do is to see those things and say, "Oh, okay." They open a Satanic Temple bakery. They have their dirty little fingers and everything, and they kind of exist to everything that Christianity and specifically the religious right that they are pushing. The Satanic Temple exists to push back and say, "Okay." You know?
Period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I think what the Satanic Temple does is really important for like a PR and politics perspective. But the way that a lot of legal system, like courts work, is they're just so fucking conservative that they'll throw out cases on the basis of, well, the plaintiffs who came forward couldn't actually demonstrate that they were harmed by the bill. So because they couldn't demonstrate that to the full extent, we're going to throw this out without actually addressing the question of whether or not the bill is allowed. Yeah. But then on the conservative side, they can literally make up people that say like, I don't want to like make a cake for a gay wedding, even though they never even fucking existed.
Yeah.
Bring that before the Supreme Court and then make people allowed to discriminate against gay people. It's all just smoke and mirrors. There's no actual legitimate system of power.
Yeah, but I think the main point, like, the Satanic Temple does have legal goals and motivations, but I think there is an underlying understanding that there's only so much that they can do in the current political system, but they more want to draw attention and kind of put a magnifying glass to everything that's going on.
Edgelords use their power for good.
Yes, edgelords that use their power for good. Exactly.
As a Reddit girl, I know you love that.
They are the lawful good to Birds Aren't Real's chaotic neutral.
Oh, I love that. You're so right. We're so right. Who's like lawful evil?
Lawful evil would be
flat earthers. Flat earthers. No. Flat earthers. Birds Aren't Real. And then Satanic Temple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the Trinity. Yeah.
Trinity.
So going back to the Satanic Temple and how they sort of parallel everything that Christianity uses to oppress and use it to uplift. They have 5 holidays that they celebrate, and I would like you to notice the pattern, Eden.
Oh, I would love to.
So one of their holidays is Lupercalia, which is February 15th. Their next one is April 30th, which is Hexennacht. Then in July 25th, they have Unveiling Day. And then they observe October 31st, Halloween, and then on December 25th, they have Sol Invictus. So what pattern did you notice, Sister Eden?
I feel stupid. Do they mock and mimic Christian holidays?
Yes, they all have a parallel, all except for Halloween have a Christian parallel, but the whole point of Halloween is Christians hate Halloween.
If you want more on that, go see our first episode ever, Holy Halloween.
So, February 15th. So, Valentine's Day does have Christian roots, St. Valentine.
February 15th, Hobo Johnson.
Yeah,
Girl.
Gonna be alone forever.
Girl.
So Lupercalia is a alternative to Valentine's Day, which is a Christian-based holiday. April 30th is sort of like Easter time. and they have Hexanacht, and then in July, sort of to mirror Independence Day, they have the Unveiling Day, and then December 25th, which of course is Christmas, they have Sol Invictus, and they are all holidays that have like historic origins, just not in the Christian faith.
As someone who like no longer, as sad as it is to say, I guess no longer really celebrates Christmas, maybe I should start celebrating Sol Invictus. What's that?
I got all of these confused. It has something to do with like an invitation into. Is this the one about invitation to like
into
the next year?
Okay.
Maybe no. What?
Not into your holes. No.
So a whole Invictus.
A whole Invictus. Who looking to get Christmas raw out?
And so, going off of that, since they're mirroring things, to mirror tithing, they don't really require that people donate, but they do accept donations, and they can be made in anyone's name. And this is interesting because, let me pull it up on my phone. Representative Josh River of Michigan posted on Twitter, after alerting our nation to the partnership between Michigan Democrats and the cult of the sadistic Satanists. Let me find it. The evil duo sent me and my wife a creeper card. And the creeper card says this.
It's a green pixelated card that blows up.
Dear Gabby and Josh, a donation to the Satanic Temple was made in your name. And for that, we thank you. Without your influence, this donation would not be possible. Thank you for... And it just goes on about that. And at the end it says, Hail Satan! With an exclamation point.
Hail Satan!
And so they responded to that saying, if you wanted to know who made the donation in your name, look at the back of the card, you dumbass. But they said it in a much politer and more like diplomatic way.
Why?
They were like,
why?
Well, we thought that to clear things up, we could put it on the back. But it appears you missed it.
So, much like your view of the world, this is a very two-dimensional reading of the letter. You need to rotate and see things from a different angle.
Exactly. So, let's talk about the things that they do now.
Where are they now?
They focus a lot on having just Christian alternatives to everything, like we said, Christianity has. And one of them is that I want to talk about because I'm an education major. I love like things with kids. I love this shit. And is the After School Satan Club, which is what inspired me to do this episode because on Facebook, I still have people who were members of my dad's church on there, and I've seen them reposting the After School Satan Club being like, pray for our children. Satan is in the schools. We need to be praying for protection from evil, a hedge of protection.
Girl, a hedge of protection?
You never heard that one?
We need privets planted around our souls.
We need the soil to be fertilized, tilled.
May God till up the soil with one of those attachments you put on the back of a tractor and then plant those tills with a lot of fertilizer and seeds so that over the course of the year they will grow up large to protect us from anything outside.
May God water those plants 2 to 4 times a week.
So stupid.
So I'm gonna pull up some notes from my phone real quick.
Please do.
So the flyer for the After School Satan Club says, "Hey kids, let's have fun at the After School Satan Club." And this is like the general like overview of what they do. The Satanic Temple is a non-theistic religion that views Satan as a literary figure who represents a metaphorical construct of rejecting tyranny and championing the human mind and spirit. After School Satan Club does not attempt to convert children to any religious practice. Instead, the Satanic Temple supports children to think for themselves. All after-school Satan clubs are based on activities centered around the 7 fundamental tenets and emphasize scientific, rationalist, and non-superstitious worldview. It's just a club for kids to like learn. It gives Science Olympiad. Did y'all have Science Olympiad?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I went to a
just
school.
Like, they do science experiments.
Mama, the most interesting thing happening at my school after classes were over was boys playing chicken in front of the school in their trucks and dying.
Oh my God! So some of the things that they do is they have they'll do Legos and learn about kinetic energy, and they'll do coloring books and learn about potential energy. They make airplanes to learn about the aviation principles of thrust and lift.
I'm sorry, I can't get over the idea of these Christian moms being like, my child will not go and play Legos and learn about kinetic energy. My child will go and get raped by a priest like every child should in after-school Christian programs.
Exactly. And there's a bunch of these popping up, and you know that they are waiting. this in my mind, the Satanic Temple is waiting for the lawsuit.
Oh yeah.
Because saying, oh, like we can't have Satan in our schools. Oh, but we can have Bibles in schools.
But you still want to like find loopholes to pray?
Another recurring question that is, but
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, but y'all do it.
Wait, that's funny because I thought, yeah.
That's so funny because you do the same thing.
See, we're doing religious rites. I don't know what y'all thought you were doing.
Some other things that they have that are similar, like education based, is they have the Hellion Academy of Independent Learning, which is sort of like all the Christian private schools.
Yes.
And they're just
I wanna
look at this. They decorated cookies like with the goat. It's so cute.
Okay, as someone of potentially fertile experience, I do not encourage you to have a child ever, and I don't want you to have a child. But when you have a child, I want you to send it to the Hellion
Academy of Independent Learning.
I want you to put that child in little devil horns, and Auntie Eden will drive it to school and be like, have fun at Satan's school, sweetheart.
Have fun. Your Auntie Eden loves you.
Have fun. Eat lots of blood. Like, love that.
And I just think, and they also have a high school club that is starting up that student led. Like the students wanted this.
There's nothing. One thing high schoolers are gonna do. It's do whatever is going to piss their parents off. Petal tried to start, there was one teacher at Petal who was openly supportive of like the gay community and the queer community. There was not a single one in my school.
And he was the only open atheist at the school too.
There's not a single one in my school.
And he tried to be this, like, some students wanted to start a gay straight alliance, which I mean, but in 2014 that was a thing. In 2014
sometimes
that
when
was
a
big
soldier
deal.
hears a gunshot, it just, and wenover I hear GSA, Gay Straight Alliance, it just conjures up. It gives the same thing as Tumblr, True Scum.
The only person who is allowed to make reference to a gay straight alliance is Josh Hutcherson. Straight but not narrow.
Straight but not narrow. Josh Hutcherson, insert whistle clip here. Yeah, exactly, Gail. Exactly.
So at my school, like, they tried to get this started and it got shut down because enough parents made ruckus about it, and of course there wasn't enough support to like proceed. They were just like, okay, we're just not going to deal with it.
Well, see, that's the thing. As a student, that was probably your perspective. But what usually happens is that even though you can't, you're not supposed to be able to fire teachers and shit for that. Usually, like, those teachers or those students or whatever will have the principal take them aside and be like, you have to stop.
Yeah.
Like, you are going to lose your job whether you like it or not. Or like,
yeah.
I remember one time when I was in high school, I posted, like, I had like a Finsta where I posted like pictures of, I posted a picture of me in a crop top that was technically on school property because I was in like, I was on the football field across the street, like, for cross country practice, and someone like found the Finsta and was like, everyone was like, oh, he's gay. Well, anyways, like, they took it to the principal. We're like, you have to do something. I got called into the principal's office in the middle school. Straight A student, the shining starlet of that podunk attendance center, by the way. They said, I know you want me to write you some letters of recommendation to these big fancy schools you're applying to. Because I had aspirations at the time. And he was like, if you ever want anything from me other than a scathing review of your time here, you better take this down. And I was like, yes, sir, and took it all down.
Oh my god.
And I literally like threw up in the bathroom on the way back to like class, walking by my dad's classroom, by the way. Like, girl, it was it's crazy.
Yeah, it's really like, but the fortunate thing about the Satanic Temple is because of donations and because of their member support, they have the money
exactly
to where if something were to happen, they could be like, oh, you want to try this,
which is why especially I feel like as adults it's like it's great and it's PR and it's pushing, but I bet for kids this is so powerful and important because everything feels like the whole world when you're a kid, because it is. And
being able to be passionate about something like that.
Yeah, and just having, like, just even knowing that that's a possible way of thinking or being or seeing in the world. Like, oh, there's this club at my school, or oh, there are these people who want to start this thing that's like Satanism, and that sounds scary and spooky. Oh, but it's just like chill. Oh, that's fun. That's so powerful. Exactly.
And some of the other things they do, and like I'm not going to go into much detail, but the after school club is such a good example of like the things that they're doing. They also have something called the Sober Faction.
Cool.
And that is like an alternative to AA. And then they have, I think it's called the Gray Faction, which is like opposing like harmful therapy, like mental, like focusing on mental health and deterring pseudosciences like repressed memories and things that a lot of Christian therapists will use to try and manipulate like conversion therapy and things like that. And there was one other one. Another thing they're doing is they're trying to press legal action to make abortion a religious practice that is like protected. And then another one is they in the Iowa state capitol, there is a monument that the Satanic Temple has paid for. It is a Baphomet monument, which is one of the, it's the goat, and it's
with the boobies.
It's the goat with the boobies, and it's been vandalized many times. But like it, as a religion, they have the right to like have something displayed in a Capitol building because of like laws. And yeah, I just think everything that they do is so there's something so winky about it. You know what I mean? They're so it's so hyper aware and almost a critique of everything that's happening.
And I know you planned this conversation too because I love winks.
I know.
I love a wink.
Yeah.
Anything that is here, the idea of winking, of camp, of glamour, of like the bit of performance, it's all tied together in my mind. It's like, this is so winky, and that it's like what a wink is saying like, we both know something that we're also not gonna like talk about. We both know something that is greater than what we're actually doing. Yeah. So like if you wink at someone, it's saying like it's trying to cut away the like boundaries that exist between you, specifically like the things you are engaging in without irony, and say like, but this is all pretty fucking stupid.
It's breaking the fourth wall.
Exactly. Especially I love winking at people in like bureaucratic situations, like turning in paperwork. When I went to get my name changed and she was like, and is this exactly how you would like it spelled on your like social security number? I said, yes. She said, okay.
Hey, you're just done.
Hey, faggot. Very that.
Yeah, and so hang on, where was I going with this?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Oh wait, no. Wait, how many minutes do you think it actually is? Because I'm pretty much done.
50, but trust me, we can.
Yeah.
Word. Especially because at the end I always go on a rant about the things I've been biting my tongue on.
Of course. And yeah, so obviously most of the point of I would say most of the Satanic Temple is just rage bait on social media. And realistically they make very little impact in the push of the conservative religious right, but there is something so funny and lighthearted and but also makes you be like, well, yeah, makes you think.
It really makes you think.
But I think they're great, and if you want to donate to them, make sure you go to our page, go to Eden's GoFundMe, and donate, and it'll go straight to the Satanic Temple.
It's like, if you want to give to a goat that already has like 6 titties, that's your prerogative. But if you want to give to a bull-faced goat, then like bury that. I don't know. I think that the Satanic Temple, from everything you've told me and from everything I've heard, I think it is a lot of just like rage bait. But I also think that it occupies and is striving to consciously occupy a really important like space in our culture.
Yes.
Because there's we talk about a lot that deconstruction on a personal level and on a societal level leaves a hole. Like what we haven't talked a lot.
Communal hole.
Exactly. Like, my communal hole. A communal hole. That's what they call me down at the YMCA.
Communal hole.
The communal hole. Too far. At the YMCA. What was I saying? So what we haven't talked about a lot, but that I think comes up a lot in just like everyday conversations and critical theory and whatever, is that like a lot of modern society has been structured around religious and spiritual beliefs, community structures. And when we take that away, if we don't have anything that is like consciously intended to replace that, specifically when it comes to the dimensions of ethics, how to live a meaningful life, how to understand our like sense of self, love, things like that, and we're just told like, well, none of that's real, And also, you just need to figure out the rest of you're on your own. Science, things like that. It's like, okay, yeah, but that's just going to leave people feeling really lost.
Yeah.
And what happens is all they have to fill that void is whatever capitalism is selling them. If they don't have like a spirit, because one thing, some of the most anti-capitalist people I have known in my life are Christians, because they are so self-assured and like understand themselves of like, this is what is fulfilling to me. Everything else is a worldly distraction.
Right.
Girl, you got the spirit. You just pointed in the wrong direction. That like what you're talking about as a worldly distraction is consumerism, is capitalism, is trying to pull you towards something. You call it a false idol. I call it like, idolatry of capital itself. So what like can really help with like things like this, maybe not the Satanic Temple specifically, but what the Satanic Temple is pushing to define, and what other organizations I think would do well to also establish themselves
this is a new this was 2013, 10 years old. There's so much. It's a starting point.
It's a starting point, and there's so much more space. And like we are still if you look at the statistics, it is staggering. I know a lot of us live in a bubble. The majority of the United States believes that there is God, God. Like we live in an overwhelmingly Christian nation. We live in a nation that is full of people who believe like, I no hate against Christians inherently, but people in this nation believe insane shit. They believe like that when you die, you'll be judged and you could end up like in an eternity of hell. They believe that like every time someone chooses to terminate in a pregnancy, that they are like sending the baby off to hell.
Right.
Like all this crazy shit. And we need not just like alternative systems of knowledge, like science and, law, but we also need alternative systems of ethics.
Right.
Of thought, of like self technologies of the self.
There needs to be an and that's the thing. Like the Satanic Temple is saying there needs to be an alternative.
Yes.
It can't all just like there's got it like there is. It takes the good things about Christianity, like the organization, and also there's no leader of the Satanic Temple.
Yes.
If you didn't know,
which I think is like the best of both worlds a little bit, because the anarchist in me is like, no, that's the point. When you deconstruct, like there's a hole there because there was never supposed to be an authority there telling you what to think and what to feel and what to know. But then the other part of me is like, well, without being given language, we never know how to speak the truth to ourselves, So there is a balance there.
Well, I think kind of the main point of the Satanic Temple is to say you can be whoever you want to be, as long as like if you can get kicked out of it. The only person who has ever openly been kicked out is someone who called for violence against Trump supporters, and they were like, that's not what we're about. Like, believe what you want to believe, but we're not here to cause any harm. They're very much about like the independent thought, as long as like you are following like the 7 tenets, you can be whoever you want to be with that.
Period. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
It's a lot less, because something great about religion is it can help you become a better person, but the problem becomes is if there's only one type of better person you can become.
Say it again for the people in the back. Say it again for the people in the back. Exactly, Sister Kale. Exactly.
Yeah, like if there's only one version to grow into, not everyone is going to fit in that box, as we said many times before. And what the Satanic Temple says is like trying to get people to realize in a way is like you can be a good person in a variety of different ways. You can achieve your own personal best without having to like conform to a certain set of like strict laws.
And also what it means to be good and what it means to be ethical is not necessarily what Christians would have you believe.
Right.
Because for some reason in this nation and in a lot of the modern world, Christianity has cemented itself as being like, well, to be moral means to follow Christian values, which is just a product of their hegemony. And it's like, no, you do not, like, Christianity and the right wing do not have like a monopoly on morality. Do not have a monopoly on like justified anger and rage and self-righteousness. Like, no.
And that's what a lot of the apologetics that I studied in in college and in high school was saying that like one of the reasons we know that God exists is because there is a moral code.
Bitch, when people fucking say, well, they say that atheists are evil, or when they say, well, if you don't believe in God, then
how do you have a moral code?
How do you have a moral code? Well, if you don't believe in God, you have no reason to not kill people. Bitch, is that the only reason you're not killing people? Get away! I am immediately not going to try to convince you God isn't real. Go say your prayers. Leave me alone.
Do whatever you must.
Amen.
Amen.
Girl.
But yeah, so that's the Satanic Temple.
The Satanic Temple.
It's a cute little place where everything your religion it should be, but nothing more.
And nothing more. I think, and that's the important part.
Yeah.
It gives you the things that religion can provide to benefit society and the individual without trying to shove onto you the things that often cause personal and inter-societal strife.
As Monsters Inc. once said, we're working for a better tomorrow today.
In the Satanic Temple, we don't quote the Bible, we quote Pixar movies. So, according to Toy Story Lations 2319.
They have little children. I'm not having a kid ever. But they have little kid books called like Goodnight Baphomet.
Wait, that's adorable.
Yeah.
One of these days,
And, like,
I'm going to go
cookbooks.
into psychosis so hard and so catatonic and never come out of it enough that you'll basically have a dark
Reading Goodnight Baphomet to you.
rocking back and forth.
You being like at the end of the craft. I'm flying.
Me on that beach, bitch.
Sister Eden, to bring it back, to ground us.
Bring it back. Grounding, not flying. Being mindful.
Being mindful.
Mindful.
What have you mindfully chosen in your quiet time to be our verse of the day?
You know, in my quiet time, I have been convening with the Lord, and I think He has given me something to bring to you today.
All right, let's get to it.
Okay, Sister Kale, so today I have brought to you a few verses from the book of Daniel. As you know, these are some of my favorite verses in the Bible.
Of course.
You know what? All I have to say is King Nebuchadnezzar is for the mad girlies.
Mad girlies.
Mad girlies.
Nebuchadnezzar and Saul. See,
real recognize real. So, starting in Daniel 4:24, we have, "This is the interpretation, your majesty, and this is the sentence of the Most High that has been passed against my lord the king." And this is Daniel interpreting Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Yes. "You will be driven away from people to live with the wild animals. You will feed on grass like cattle and be drenched with dew from the sky for 7 periods of time until you acknowledge that the Most High is ruler over the kingdom of men, and He gives it to anyone He wants. As for the command to leave the tree's stump with its roots, your kingdom will be restored to you as soon as you acknowledge that heaven rules." Heaven rules. "Therefore, may my advice seem good to you, my king. Separate yourself from your sins by doing what is right, and from your injustices by showing mercy to the needy. Perhaps there will be an extension of your prosperity." And then the final verse of this section, "All this happened to King Nebuchadnezzar." And that's
And it happened to me too.
and
once.
it happened to my buddy Steve. Very that. Literally, the whole point of this section, like these verses, is that Nebuchadnezzar has this dream, like he's gonna go like and say blah 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 blah, and I was like, yeah, you're gonna go fucking crazy, and your nails are gonna grow long like the talons of a bird, and your hair's gonna grow long like a wild beast, and you're gonna eat of the grass of the ground. You're gonna drink water like of the dew, and you're gonna be like disgusting until you recognize that God is all like, and that is it. And then it happens to him. And then it happens. And then he does. And then he did. And this is one of many stories in the Bible, and also one of many stories and themes that appears across almost every mythology, of the idea that like the gods will humble you. If you ever come to think that you are on par with the gods or above them in some way, even if you can prove that you are, like if you are a better weaver than Athena, or if you like are building a tower that is going to reach heaven or whatever, they will wrathfully strike you down and say, bitch, no the fuck you're not.
Yeah. But it's not the gods. It's whoever's communicating with the gods for you.
Interesting. I like, yeah.
You know?
Well,
if you ever think, I don't know.
Daniel is a work pretty much well regarded, except for people who have no Bible literacy, as a work of historical fiction. Mm-hmm. So this was written well after the time of the real king Nebuchadnezzar, who lived and was like an actual historical figure. It was more of just like, back in the day, this is what happened between Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar.
So very Greek mythology.
Very Greek mythology, yes. And it's obviously trying to encode these cultural values, these ideas of like, so I'm kind of reading it as like, reading this as if God is real, because in this story God is real, because it's historical fiction. It's like what we see is this constant humbling of even if you are justified in your beliefs of that your kingdom is so great, even if you are accurate in believing like you are greater than any man that came before you, the fact that you would even feel that about yourself. The panopticon, mom. God is always watching. He knows your every thought. And if you ever even allow yourself to feel that you are on his level, he will make you so fucking low. And anyway,
you're gonna wish you did.
You're gonna wish you did. This is unrelated, but I'm just obsessed with this story of Nebuchadnezzar because I think it encapsulates so much of what like madness and psychosis is, both in like the spiritual like history of humanity and also in the modern day real world.
The line of the eating, like there's that piece of art where it shows him like on all fours.
Yes, eating the grass. It's so visceral.
And there's just something that just hits just two mad women so hard, just being like, oh my god, real.
Me eating a fistful of cheese at 3 a.m. from the refrigerator, thinking about like a situationship from 3 years ago. Yeah, but it's like madness, and specifically like to use a medical term, psychosis is almost like this experience brought onto us by not to extrapolate this too like far away from the actual like biochemical reality of it, right. But it's almost like when we consciously or unconsciously get too close to God, when we get close to rationalizing ourselves to like when our consciousness ascends too high and we can't take it, we are literally driven mad.
It's edging.
It's psychosis is edging. Every time I pull up a verse, I try to say something profound, and you say, it's kind of like anal. But it is like edging. Psychosis, madness, and Nebuchadnezzar, they're all edging in that we are edging godhood, but we're not allowed to come. We're not allowed to come because if you try to come,
we are God's little cuck.
Yeah, you're God's. We only
come when God says to.
That's when we die and go to heaven.
No, when we get married.
Oh my God.
We only come when God says to. We are God's cucks.
We're all God's cucks. Some of us just stay in the cock cage a little longer.
We're all God's cucks. Some of us are too scared to leave the pen. Too scared to leave the coop. I don't know what cucks means. Except for cuckold. I know what a cuck is, but is it in a like a cock? Bird? Chicken? No.
That's a cock. That's cock.
I know what a cuckold is. I've heard of Jerry Falwell Jr.
The fact that you... That is the most gay girls good God shit of like I've ever heard in my life. Like, I know what cucking is. I followed the Jerry Falwell Jr. story. So real. That's with that pool boy. That's gay as hell.
But it's okay because Jerry Falwell. It's okay for Jerry Falwell because God is gay all the time,
and also because all the time God is gay.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Thank you all so much for listening to today's service. And as always, thank you to our music minister, Brother Sam, for creating that beautiful piece of music that is our intro and outro.
And if you are a visitor with us today, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button and rating us 5 stars wherever you're listening. And if you love the show next week when you come back, why don't you bring a friend?
And remember, God is gay all the time.
And all the time, God is gay.